My wife says that having sex with another man can help her regain her self-confidence. So I think she's hinting at an open relationship. Be me when everything fell apart. Can't blame me for what happened. But that's how divorce courts work in this country. They blame the innocent guy and let the ex-wife get full custody, so she can poison the kids against their father. Pretty sure divorce laws were written by man-hating feminists out to screw over anyone with a Y chromosome. Been married to Rachel for 15 years at this point. Have 2 amazing kids together. Daughter Anna, 15, and son Tyler, 13. Thought everything was perfect. Loved my wife, was sure she loved me back. Kids were smart, athletic, well-adjusted, good-looking. Making good money as software developer. Rachel has solid job as financial manager. Both of us stay in shape, look pretty decent. Anna is complete daddy's girl through and through. She practically idolizes me. I'm wrapped around her little finger completely. She's brilliant at math and science. Decides she wants to be an engineer just like her dad. Got her license the day she turned 15. Been obsessed with driving since she was 10. Always in garage with me, handing me tools. I'm total gearhead and proud of it. Love collecting old Ford classics that I can work on. She develops same passion for them. Every weekend we're at car shows together, just admiring those beautiful machines for hours. We're basically inseparable most weekends. I'm pretty handy at home projects too. Anna gets excited about helping with every house project. Teach her all about plumbing, electrical work. Show her everything about drywall and painting. Right there helping when I install new appliances. Even helps me pour new concrete pad by my workshop. She goes to Rachel for girl stuff, which I'm grateful for, but comes to me for everything else. Homework help, friend drama, life advice. When she's thinking about boys or making big decisions. We've always been completely open and honest. When she gets into trouble, my phone is first one she calls. Have my daddy's girl while Rachel has her mama's boy. Tyler never gets into cars and mechanics like Anna. He's smart kid, but science doesn't excite him. More into English and literature. Talks about becoming lawyer someday. Tyler and I hang out sometimes, but he's definitely more attached to his mom. Notice Rachel acting strange last couple months. Nothing obvious, but she seems distant. Keeps zoning out for minutes at time. Ask her a few times if everything's okay. She just dismisses my concerns. Usually enjoy when she dismisses me, but not like this. Something feels off, but can't figure out what. It's Friday evening when everything changes. Just got home from work at usual time, around 6 p.m. See Rachel's car already in driveway. Walk inside and call out that I'm home. Strange that there's no smell of dinner cooking. Even stranger that Anna doesn't come down to greet me. She might be teenager now, but usually still says hi if she's home. Figure both kids must be out with friends. Put my briefcase in home office. Head upstairs to change into comfortable clothes. Walk into bedroom and see Rachel laid out her little black dress. Notice sexy underwear, stockings, and 6-inch heels on bed. Think I know why no dinner cooking. Figure we must be going out tonight. Wish she'd given me heads up but don't have other plans anyway. Rachel's still in bathroom doing makeup when I walk in. Ask her where we're going tonight. We aren't going anywhere, she says. Confused now. Well, if we aren't going anywhere, why are you getting all made up with sexy outfit on bed? We aren't going out, I am. Really bad feeling starts in pit of my stomach. And just where do you imagine you're going dressed like that without me? Also, where are kids? Kids are spending night with friends. Not sure exactly where my date will be taking me. But probably won't be home until tomorrow morning. What do you mean your date and won't be back until morning? Just what I said. Going on date tonight. And if it goes as planned, spending night with him. She says this completely calmly, like discussing weather. The hell you are! What makes you think I'll put up with that? Want to spread your legs? Wait for divorce to be final. Stop being stupid! There will be no divorce! Just doing this once, then everything will be back to normal. I need this night. We've been married 15 years, and I just need to go out once. Need to prove to myself I'm still attractive to other guys. If you really love me, you'll let me have this night. Won't even be blip on radar. Well, if you really loved me, you wouldn't consider having sex with anyone else. I do love you, but I need this. Getting older and need to feel I'm still attractive to other men, particularly younger ones. Mark's about 10 years younger than me. Been flirting with me last 6 months. Finally decided to take him up on his offer. Just one night of sex to prove I'm still sexy woman. That other men find me attractive? Just confidence booster for me. Started noticing few lines and gray hairs. Need boost to my ego. Tell her I don't need this and won't put up with it. Remind her about wedding vows. Part about forsaking all others. Don't be silly, this is just one night thing. After I get back home, never do it again. I promise. Are you stupid or think I am? After breaking vow made before God, family, and friends, think I'd believe simple promise made in private? Simply put, you go through with this, we're done. Walk out that door and I'm meeting lawyer first chance I get. She gets angry now. Don't be idiot. There will be no divorce. I'll come home and be loving, devoted wife I've always been. Try to divorce me and I'll fight it long and hard as I can. You'll lose house, most assets, and I'll get full custody. I'll do everything possible to mess up your visitation. Make sure kids end up hating you. Completely shocked by her words. You claim to love me, yet would do all that to me? Damn right I would love you, but if you try divorce, I'll fight. Don't want to lose you. Just giving you consequences of your actions. Rachel keeps trying to justify everything. Look, I told you I just need this one night to prove I'm still attractive. Yeah, well, what happens in few more years? What about next time you start getting older and wonder if you can still attract younger man? Let me guess. He has big tool and gossip around water cooler says he's great lover? Bet he's hit almost every woman you work with too. I promise that won't happen. And yes, there's been some gossip I've overheard. Admit I'm curious, but it will just be sex. There won't be any love involved. You have nothing to fear from him taking me away. As I said, just one-time thing to get this out of my system. Maybe you'll even learn thing or two that will spice up our sex life. Couple new tricks will liven up our lovemaking. Tell her if she follows through, already told her consequences. If you call him right now and cancel, we can do marriage counseling. Work to save our marriage. Don't be stupid. We are going to be fine. If you really insist on counseling to heal your bruised little ego, we can talk about it when I get back tomorrow. With that, she keeps getting ready for her date. Change into jeans and t-shirt. Leave bedroom. She comes downstairs little while later. Dressed in clothes she laid out. Has her little clutch purse. Checking herself in mirror by door. Sitting in my recliner in living room. Hear car honk outside. He's here, gotta go. See you in morning, she says. Walks over to give me goodbye kiss. Turn my head and lean away. She ends up kissing air. Stands back up and frowns at me. Fine, be that way. Once you get over your little hissy fit, everything will be back to normal. Turns and walks toward door. Make one last attempt. If you walk out that door, we're done. Better think really hard whether this worth throwing 15 years of marriage away. She turns back to look at me. I'm not throwing anything away. As I said, I'll be back and everything will go back to normal. With that, she opens door and walks out. Begin crying for loss of my marriage. Loss of woman I loved exclusively for last 18 years. 15 years marriage. 1 year engagement. 2 years exclusive dating. No idea how she could do this to me. Never expressed any dissatisfaction. We had decent sex life. Never mentioned wanting more. Would have gladly given her more if she wanted. Hadn't been fighting about anything? Sure, had disagreements like all couples. But we discussed things. Came to mutual agreements. Had decided what I was going to do if she went through with this. Wait half hour after she leaves. Guess I waited, hoping she'd come to senses and come back. Obviously, that wasn't happening. Finally get up and go to work on my plan. Not much of plan, but best I could do at time. Head upstairs to start. It's fairly large 4-bedroom house. Master bedroom, Anna's room, Tyler's room, and large guest bedroom. Guest bedroom actually second master bedroom with private bathroom. Used it when either her family or mine visited. Also for kids' sleepovers. Now it would be my temporary bedroom. Takes about 2 hours to completely move out of our old bedroom. Into my new bedroom. Under no illusions about what would happen in divorce, this is no-fault state. Means divorce laws written by man-hating feministic witches. Basically, unless wife convicted of major felony and sent to prison for at least decade, husband gets screwed. Doesn't matter if husband completely innocent victim. Wife ends up with house, kids, child support, maintenance. Husband stuck with all bills. She gets gold mine, he gets shaft. After getting new temporary living quarters squared away, go down to home office and get onto online banking. Opened another account just in my name few years ago. Wasn't for anything bad, just so I could buy her gifts and she'd be surprised. We both had access to finances. Few times she went to check on finances. Happened to see purchase I made for her. Needless to say, not much surprise for birthday or Christmas. That's why I opened new account in just my name. Strictly for purchasing her presents, keeping her from knowing what she was getting. Decided to repurpose that account now. She knew about it, but didn't have access. First transfer exactly half our checking and savings into personal account. Next, using remaining money in joint account. Pay off and cancel all our credit cards. Then apply for couple new cards in my name only. Yes, should have paid everything off before transferring money, but decided better to pay back whatever court ordered. Then try and collect anything from her. We'll transfer my direct deposit from work into personal account Monday morning. Have to call broker and have investment split Monday too. Having accomplished what I could, get another tumbler of bourbon on rocks. Go up to my room for night. Finish drink while getting ready for bed. Not good night's sleep. First off, gotten used to sleeping next to wife. Bed seems empty without her there. then mine simply won't shut off. Keep going over what could have done to prevent this. Should I have tried to force her not to go outdoor? Physically restrained her? Gone out to Hull's car with baseball bat? Gun. Would going to jail have been worth it? Long night with fitful dozing. Finally decide to get up as light comes through window. Still tired, so decide to shower. More to help fully wake up than anything. After shaving, showering, brushing teeth, put on jeans and t-shirt. Go downstairs, eat breakfast, and drink couple cups coffee while reading newspaper. It's 9 o'clock in morning when Rachel walks back into house. I'm in office on computer looking at apartments to rent. Already researched lawyers. Made appointment for Monday afternoon through online scheduling. She breezes into house all cheerful. Good morning, honey, I'm home just like I promised. Just ignore her. Throughout night and this morning, rage began to build at what she had done. Realized as drinking coffee this morning. Had done nothing to deserve this disrespect from her. Also realized nothing could have done to prevent what she did. This was all on her. If somehow managed to stop her date last night, she would have just done it again another time. People say you can't stop loving someone suddenly. Maybe they're right. What you can do is turn that love into hate. Opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. With hate, there's still emotion involved. Marriage counselors often can save marriage if there's hate, by turning it back into love. If there's indifference, there's no chance at all. All my love for my wife before I got home yesterday, now channeled into hate. Remarkably simple to do. All needed was to focus on lack of respect she showed me. Then added her threats if I didn't go along with it, adding her dismissive attitude towards my feelings. Had several hours to focus on all that. Honey, where are you? I'm home just like I said. I even cleaned up before coming home for you. Hear her calling out as she goes around house looking for me. Oh, there you are, she says, opening door to my office. I'm back and now everything can go back to normal. Continues as she comes over to my desk. Moves around desk with arms out to give me hug and kiss. Shove her back. Keep your filthy, diseased lips away from me, you nasty woman. God only knows what's touched or what nastiness has been in that mouth of yours. Her eyes spring wide open in shock. Never talked to her like that in all years we've known each other. Continue before she can even respond. You need to go down to clinic and get full battery of STD tests done. Want to see notarized clean report before I ever allow you to put your filthy paws on me again? As far as sex concerned, wouldn't screw your disease-ridden holes with 10 effed pole. Even if put dozen condoms on it. Over the top, probably. Did I care? No. Watch her facial expression turn from shock to anger. Was hoping for realization of what she'd done and remorse. I can see you're still dealing with your bruised ego. Going up to our room to take nap. Had long night and want to rest for a while. Hopefully you will have calmed down and we can talk later. I expect full apology for your rudeness this morning. With that, she turns and storms out of room. Couldn't help but smile as I anticipated her quick return. Not disappointed. What the hell did you do? Hear her scream as she charges back. Where are your clothes? Where are all your toiletries? What the hell do you think you were doing? She rants, storming back into office. What do you mean? I ask calmly. All my things exactly where they're supposed to be. What are you talking about? Your closet empty, your drawers empty. Your area on vanity empty. What do you mean everything where it's supposed to be? As I said, my clothes neatly hanging in my closet, or folded and in my dresser. My toiletries sitting neatly where they belong in my bathroom. They are not. Just told you your stuff not in our bedroom, she exclaims in exasperation. Ah, now I see your problem. You still mistakenly thinking of your bedroom as our bedroom. Just told you all my stuff where it belongs in my bedroom. You mean, yes, told you wouldn't put up with it so moved out of your bedroom. Be staying in my new bedroom until find apartment and move out. Thought about telling her about our finances, but screw it. Let her find out on her own. Besides, no sense spoiling surprise before can take care of investments. Her eyes narrow in irritation. We'll discuss this later. We'll give you a week to get over your little fit. Then expect you to move everything back and we will go back to normal. Not until I have notarized report stating you're free from all diseases. I shoot back. Turn attention back to computer. Stay in office most of day. Kids come home early afternoon. Briefly wonder how long before they figure out something's wrong. Found few apartments that looked good. Fill out forms and schedule appointments to look at them Tuesday. Then print out our financial statements. We'll need that for lawyer on Monday, while under no illusions about having house sold. Figure getting value on it might help in settlement. Theoretically, she would only have value of equity. Wishful thinking, but still. Spend rest of day researching divorce laws in our state. No going to get screwed over, but at least would have some idea how bad. That would help me plan if nothing else. Daddy dinner is ready, Anna says, sticking head in door. Okay, sweetie. Rachel smiling brightly when step into kitchen. Obvious what plan here is. Killing me with kindness. Showing me what would be losing by not accepting what she did. She went all out, dressed up and put on makeup. Hair done in style I liked. Spent considerable time in kitchen that afternoon. Made my favorite meal. As enter kitchen, she comes over. Hands me glass of wine. Poured you glass of wine, she says. Leans in for kiss. See hurt in her eyes as lean away. Take glass from her. Walk over to sink. Pour it out. Set glass on counter. Pull out tumbler from cabinet. Put couple ice cubes in it. Pour couple fingers of bourbon in it. No way kids sitting at table didn't notice that. Move over to table. Begin chatting with kids. Never even acknowledge wife. Dinner obviously strained. Keep up conversations much as possible with kids. But blatantly obvious there were serious problems. Doesn't help that never even put anything on my plate. Much less ate anything. These dishes my favorites but just passed bowls and platters along. Without even looking at them. Just continue trying to make conversation with kids as sip drink. Dad, are you going to eat anything? Tyler finally asks. No, not hungry, all I reply. After most awkward dinner in history of mankind, simply get up, refill drink, head back to office. Don't even bother helping clear table. About half hour later, shut down computer, get keys to truck. Leave house to go to nice quiet restaurant for dinner. After that, go over to bar for couple drinks. Pretty late by time get back home. See light still on in Rachel's bedroom. Make sure when close door to my room it makes enough noise she would hear it. Lock door, then slide chair under knob. As getting ready for bed, hear her try knob, then knock. She tries to get me to open door for about 5 minutes. Before finally giving up. Up early next morning, decide today would be football day. 3 games on, morning, afternoon, and night. Plan to watch them all. Yeah, weekend chores to do, but decide to ignore them. Screw it. Won't be living here much longer. Rachel can just get someone else to do it. Already drunk most of pot of coffee. Begin getting ready to make omelets for breakfast. Already finished mine when Anna comes wandering into kitchen. Hey, sweetie, omelet? I ask. Sure, Dad, thanks. She gets juice and sits at table as begin cooking her food. Few minutes later, Tyler makes appearance. Tell him I'll make his as soon as finished with his sisters. Anna eating her omelet as I'm cooking Tyler's. Here, Rachel in hallway. Pour last cup of coffee into my cup. Turn pot off. She comes shuffling in. Gets cup from cabinet, then looks at empty pot. You couldn't even leave cup for me? She glares at me. Pot's right there, you know how to make it. Whatever, so you're making omelets? Made them. Just finished, but feel free to make yourself one. Answer as slipped Tyler's onto his plate. Used last of what I had made for his. Had even already put all ingredients away. Screw her. Having taken care of kids. Leave kitchen. Just before noon. In living room with morning game on. Rachel comes in carrying plate and bottle of beer. Sets it down on coffee table in front of me. Brought you some lunch and beer so you wouldn't miss any of game, she says cheerfully. Without so much as glance at her. Take foot and sweep both plate and bottle off table onto floor. She just stands there with mouth open in shock. Just then commercial comes on. Stand up. Walk into kitchen. Get myself beer. Yes, hear all you out there crying about alcohol abuse. For spilling entire beer out onto floor. Wasn't going to drink anything she brought me, so would have been wasted anyway. No, didn't clean up mess. She brought it unwanted so she could clean it up herself. Didn't care if it stained carpet. Wasn't going to be living there very much longer anyway. We need to discuss this, Rachel begins. Shut up, game's on, I reply. For God's sake, you need to do something about your attitude. Kids have already noticed? Bound to happen. Sure they would notice after I move out anyway. Oh, get over yourself. You are not moving out and there will not be divorce, she insists. Storms away, starts later in afternoon. At least they nice enough to wait until halftime. Emma and Tyler come into room together, sit on couch to face me. Dad, what's going on between you and Mom? Anna begins. Well, you may as well know now. Your mother and I are getting divorced. This has nothing to do with either of you. We both love you. This just between your mother and me. But why? Tyler asks. Because your mother did something that I just cannot accept. She did it even after I told her my feelings on it. But she still did it. She wasn't even least bit remorseful for it. You mean when she went out on her date Friday night? Anna asks. Actually surprised. You know about that? Well, yeah, Mom told us you weren't happy about it. So you know she cheated on me then? No, she didn't. She said she told you about it beforehand, so it wasn't cheating. She didn't sneak around behind your back to do it. And that was only time she has ever done anything like that, Tyler explains. Yeah, Dad. Besides, it was only one night out of 18 years of you two dating and being married, Anna adds. She said if you really loved her, you would just let her have that one night and move on. honestly flabbergasted. Also hurts that my daddy's girl not even trying to understand my position. She jumped over onto her mother's side. Won't even listen to my point of view. Really? How about if she really loved me, she wouldn't even consider having sex with anyone else? Come on, Dad. It was just one time, and she promised she would never do it again. Okay, let's discuss her promises then. Little over 15 years ago, she made solemn vow to me. Made that vow before God, our families, and our friends. She vowed to forsake all others. There were no exception clauses in that vow. Time limit on that vow was until death do us part. In case you haven't noticed, neither one of us is dead. If she can so easily break that solemn vow she made so publicly, how can I possibly believe any promise she makes to me in private? Yeah, but you also vowed to stick with her in good times and bad times, Tyler argues. True, problem is your mother breaking her vow broke contract and released me from my vow. Well, we just don't understand why you would break up family over one single night, Anna asks. Why are you saying I'm breaking up family? Why am I getting blamed for what she did? Mom isn't leaving. She wants to put this behind us and move on. You're one leaving and making such big deal out of everything. If you leave, you are breaking up family, Anna insists. Didn't get any better after that. Try to explain my position, but they weren't listening. Weren't even slightly interested in my opinion. Rachel had spent last day filling their heads with her lies. All they knew was Mommy did something she really needed to do, and Daddy didn't love her or kids enough to accept her needs. She convinced them Daddy's little male ego was causing him to walk out on all of them. Break up family. It was Daddy's fault because he couldn't give Mommy one little tiny thing she really needed for her happiness. Instead, Daddy intent on making everyone suffer for his small-minded stubbornness. Really, it was just one night out of 6,570 nights. 15 years at 365 days per year, plus one extra day on 3 leap years. They finally storm out when obvious not going to accept their position. Manage to watch rest of game in peace, as game ending begins smelling aromas of dinner being prepared. Obviously, another of my favorites. Just sit there and watch after game show as wait for night game. Top of hour and kickoff would be in 20 minutes. Tyler comes in to tell me dinner ready. Simply get up, grab keys to truck, begin heading for door. Where are you going? Dinner being set on table, Tyler asks. Going down to sports bar to watch game. I'll eat something there. But Mom fixed. I'll be back after game. Might hang out for a while after it's over, though. Did hang out after game. They had really good burger with seasoned fries. Beer pretty good too. Only had about 1 beer per quarter, so still good to drive. Besides, only about 5 minutes from home. Everyone in bed by time got home. Simply went to bedroom. Locked and blocked door. Went to sleep. Monday morning up early. Out of house before anyone gets up. First thing at office is call my broker. Explain getting divorced and need him to split all investments right down middle. He creates new account in just my name. Moves half our investments into that account. Next up, HR department. Take Rachel's name off retirement account. Have them just put Anna and Tyler as my heirs. Give them my new bank account information to route paycheck there. Finally, go inform my boss about getting divorced. Tell him need some time off for meeting with lawyer, court dates, meetings, etc. He's cool with it. Lawyer tells me pretty much what already knew. Have the dick so would be getting screwed. Slight chance could get custody. But completely dependent on where kids wanted to live. They old enough that court would take their wishes into serious consideration. Based on conversation had with them yesterday. Not going to count on that. Basically only reason for guy to even have lawyer for divorce was for lawyer to be able to apply lube to their ass before screwing. Otherwise, they would be drilled without lube. Had him start on paperwork. Ask that he have her served at work on Monday. Don't even bother going home right after work. It's Monday Night Football. Just drive over to sports bar. 3 tacos for $1. Had 3 during first half. 3 more during second half. Ignore text messages and phone calls from Rachel. Did respond to Anna. Let her know where I was. Her response to that not exactly pleasant. Give an evil eye by all 3 when saunter in after game. Simply went into office and closed door. By time done and went up to room. Everyone had gone to bed. Tuesday morning up early. Out of house before anyone else up again. Work, okay. Take afternoon off to look at apartments. Decide on nice 2-bedroom unit. Put down deposit. Would be able to move in on Saturday. Trip to secondhand store. Nets me couch, table and chairs. They to be delivered on Saturday afternoon. Decided like bed using so going to take that. As well as everything in home office. They eating dinner by time got home. Snicker when noticed they didn't even set plate for me. Fine with me. Wasn't going to eat it anyway. Simply went to refrigerator. Pulled out makings for huge sandwich. Made sandwich. Grabbed bag of chips and beer. Then went into office. Geez, Dad, why you being such a hole? Anna exclaims as comes into office. Well, Anna, simply put, your mother cheated on me. She completely disrespected me, then threw it in my face. Will not put up with that. Very clearly explained what would happen if she went through with it. She went through with it even knowing what would happen. You can't seriously be breaking up family over that. Come on, it was nothing. It was just sex. Anna, someday you're going to be married. Just think about how you would feel if your husband told you one evening that he had a date with a younger, prettier woman, and he was going to spend night with her. Well, I'm sure I wouldn't like it very much. But if he promised to come back to me and it was just one-time thing, I would hope that I would love him enough to get past it. Besides, if he told me about it first, it wouldn't be like he was cheating. Sure. Do me one favor. When you get married, look directly into your groom's eyes as saying your vows, as looking into his loving eyes. When you get to part about forsaking all others, imagine love in those eyes turning to utter devastation as you tell him you are going out to screw another man. With that, turned my back on her, went back to work. Wednesday evening is the ambush. Both sets of parents there when get home from work. People often joke about their in-laws, but actually got along very well with her parents. They welcomed me into family like son they never had. Richard, her father, was gearhead like me. His only problem was he was into Chevrolet. Okay, so he had extremely poor taste in cars, but could overlook that. He had '67 Camaro in pristine condition. Got along very well with my parents too. Not one of those dysfunctional families where kids grow up hating parents. They always very loving and supportive of me. Sure, there were disagreements. They never hesitated to tell me when thought I was wrong. Sometimes just had to agree to disagree. Walk into house and see ambush set up. Bit confused. Understand why her parents would be there. Obviously, they would be on her side. She is their daughter after all. What confused me was my own parents being there. Would seem counterproductive to her. My parents would agree with me. Be on my side. If she trying to get me to accept her infidelity, why would she have anyone over that wouldn't be on her side? Who would argue that I was right in divorcing her? You probably already figured out what took me several minutes to understand. Richard starts intervention. Want you to know that Mary, Rachel's mother, and I are very disappointed in what Rachel did. That being said, we think you are overreacting to this. Yes, she went out and had sex with another man. That was highly disrespectful to you, especially the way she did it. Still, it was just one mistake. You two been together total of 18 years. Have 2 wonderful kids together. Think about all of that. Surely you can get over this one small incident. Small mistake? Seriously? This wasn't small mistake? She didn't accidentally stumble and end up with his pole accidentally impaling her pleasure holes. This was planned event. They probably planned it at least week in advance. Then she uses me only hour before she was leaving, giving me no chance to fight it. This was deliberate plan to cheat on me. Son, Mom decides to enter fray. She didn't cheat on you, she told you about it first. Huh? What? First off, you are correct that she told me. Never asked. She just said she was doing it and I had no say about it. Even when I voiced my strong objections, she didn't care. Speaking of telling, I did tell her this would happen if she went through with it. Jack, my dad tried. I understand your pain and anger, but think about family. We love you, son. We will be here to help you heal. But think of what you will be doing to your family. Rachel still loves you and she has insisted she won't do it again. We all think that with counseling and some effort you can get past this. Tearing your family apart is not way to go. We raised you to be good man. You need to man up and keep your family together. Don't do something stupid that will end up hurting your relationship with your family. Think about your mother and me too. Those are our grandchildren. We will do whatever necessary to keep our relationship with them. Just stood there completely stunned. My parents actually taking her side. They really telling me should overlook her cheating on me. Simply couldn't take any more of this. Turn and walk out of room. Go to my bedroom. Rachel tries to follow but shut door in her face. 10 minutes later, changed into jeans, casual shirt, and boots. Never said word as walked right through living room. Out front door. They still all sitting there trying to talk to me. Never even acknowledged them. Simply walked out door. Got in truck. Went to sports bar for dinner and few beers. Thankfully, house quiet and dark when returned about 4 hours later. Thursday and Friday, just more of same. Completely ignored Rachel. Kids remained mad at me. Kind of surprised Rachel had not yet noticed credit cards no longer working. Pretty sure when she went to do her Saturday shopping, she would figure it out. Was Friday evening and had been home for about an hour. In office going through few things. Deciding exactly what would be taking tomorrow. What would get later. Rachel opened door and walked in. She wearing transparent nightie, stockings, garter belt, and heels. Have to say she looked fantastic. Kids spending night elsewhere tonight. Time for you to get over this foolishness and come to bed with me? Want you to make love to me all night? Really need you to take me back. Looked at her for a minute. No thanks. Besides, have yet to see report from clinic verifying you don't have any diseases. Stop being ridiculous. I need you back in my bed. Your temper tantrum not accomplishing anything. Now come on, I'm horny and I need sex. Not slightest bit interested. Look, if you don't, then I'm going to have to call Mark again. So much for that being one-time thing then. Damn it, it was one-time thing. But if you're going to keep rejecting me, it's you that pushing me back to someone else. Have fun. Let me know if you're bringing him here so I can leave. Smoke coming out of her ears and nose as stormed out of room. Took few minutes to clear. About half hour later heard front door slam. She practically burned her tires off as sped down street. Took opportunity of empty house to pack up few things. Took bed apart and loaded in truck. Along with most of my clothes. Would sleep on sofa in office tonight. Having everything wanted to take first loaded in truck. Fixed bourbon on rocks and relaxed. Sofa wasn't most comfortable thing slept on but was okay. Early next morning at leasing office. Got key to apartment. Took bit, but managed to get everything out of truck and into apartment. Thankfully, couple friendly neighbors assisted. No one home yet when returned. So had neighbor's teenage son help load up desk and office furniture. Computer printer and accessories went into cab. Looked back into living room and thought screw it. Taking recliner too? Guessed either no one got home until evening, or no one bothered to look into office or spare bedroom. Surprised they didn't notice missing recliner though. Early evening before phone rang. Seeing it was daughter, I answered. Daddy, where are you? I'm at home, sweetie. No, you aren't. Your office cleaned out, bed and dresser and spare bedroom gone, and your recliner isn't in living room. Besides, I looked everywhere and you aren't here. Plus your truck gone. You're right, I'm not there. I am at home. I don't live there anymore. Moved into apartment for now. Maybe after divorce final I'll get another house. But this will do for now. God, Dad, I can't believe you being such an a-hole about this. I thought you loved us. I do love you, sweetie. Always have and always will. Just not enough to not abandon us. I'm not abandoning you. You will still be able to see me all you want. Still take care of you and your brother. You are abandoning us. You left us and breaking up family. Your mother one that broke up family. I told her this what would happen if she went out on that date. She did it anyway. But she thought you loved her enough to get past that. And I thought she loved me enough to not do it. Fine, whatever. Then she hung up. Yeah, divorce was nightmare. She fought it all way. Counseling she wanted me to pay. I refused. Argued if she wanted it, she should pay for it. That was one of few arguments I won. What waste of time? Counselor didn't like me very much. Think it had something to do with me telling him. I was ordered to attend, but judge said nothing about actually participating. Suffered through all 12 sessions before counselor finally gave up. She fought over literally everything. That worthless, funny poster in garage she absolutely despised. Suddenly, she simply couldn't live without it. The Bud Light lamp I accidentally left behind in office. She hated it, but I had that on my desk since college. It became piece she was going to redecorate office around. Yeah, it was all to make divorce hard on me as possible. All while making it difficult for me to see kids as she could. Finally, judge granted divorce. Had to continue to pay half mortgage. She, of course, kept house. $1,500 a month child support. But did get every Wednesday evening and every other weekend visitation. What really pissed me off was $750 a month for spousal maintenance. Would be voided if she got remarried within that time. Wasn't going to hold my breath. Found out she had moved Mark in with her before divorce even final. So yeah, half my paycheck was going to her. Cashed in some investments and bought small house. Was in serious need of repairs. At least got it cheap. Even had 1 acre lot. Thankfully managed to sneak all my tools out of garage. Week after moved out. Refused to even discuss them. Most of them had before we even met. When she pushed, I started talking about all her jewelry and expensive clothes and shoes. House had electricity, gas, and running water. Roof was on it and walls were standing. That was good enough for me. Moved in and began working on it in evenings and weekends. Visitation, yeah? Was supposed to have visitation. Actually did few times too. It was disaster. Rachel did everything possible to interfere with it. Kids were busy. They went for weekend thing with their friends. Funny how that was always on my weekends and not hers. Oh, Anna has dance practice on Wednesday. Oh, Tyler has huge test on Thursday and needs to study. Few times actually able to have Wednesday evening visitation. Kids were hostile to me. They still blame me for everything. Even though explained my point of view, when position has them as captive audience literally all time. And I only have hour or two occasionally. It's losing battle. After third time, they flat out told me didn't want to see me anymore. Yeah, could have forced it, but what would be point? Forcing them to see me would have only caused more resentment. Sent them gifts, cards, and letters for birthdays and Christmas. They were all returned unopened. Continued to send monthly checks. Saw they were cashed, but never heard word. Graduation. I assumed they graduated, but never heard anything about it. Sent registered letter letting them know about college funds I set up for them. Did hear back on that. No thanks. Rachel had effectively poisoned my kids against me, just like she said she would. Just concentrated on work, house, and that's about it. Didn't go out or do anything. Amazing how much money can save by doing that. As if all that wasn't bad enough. Hey, Mom, I said when she answered phone. Jack, how are you doing? She responded cheerfully. Doing as well as can be expected anyway. Haven't heard anything about Thanksgiving. Are you hosting it again this year? There was silence on other end. Mom, you still there? I asked. Oh well, this bit awkward. Yes, we are, but Rachel, her parents and kids are coming over for it. She's also bringing new man in her life with her. We all just felt that having you here as well would be too awkward for everyone. After all, kids still angry at you for abandoning them? And you being here with Rachel and her new man would just make everyone too tense? Seriously, Mom? You're abandoning your own son on Thanksgiving and inviting my ex-wife and her boyfriend instead? Well, we want to keep our close relationship with our grandchildren. Besides, this is your fault. You should have worked to keep your family together instead of tearing it apart. How about coming over for Christmas Eve? Your father and I will be spending Christmas Day at Rachel's house, but we can celebrate it with you day before. Forget it. You don't have son anymore. So save it for cheating witch and her flying monkeys? Mumbled as ended call. Spent Christmas Eve at home watching Die Hard, ignoring multiple calls and text messages from Mom, wondering where I was not in holiday spirit, just stared at packages had sent to my kids week ago. They had been returned to my doorstep yesterday. Did get wedding announcement after 5 years. Rachel ended up marrying Mark weekend after my last maintenance payment was made. Tyler's 18th birthday was year earlier. So already done with child support. Now completely free and clear of my former family and commitments to them. Celebrated by getting drunk. Yeah, not real proud of that, but screw it. Had worked butt off and given them all love I could, only to be rejected and treated like crap. Now that all obligations to Witch and her 2 ungrateful devil spawns were completed, decided to just put them out of mind as much as possible. They obviously didn't want any sort of relationship with me, so would just forget about them as much as possible and move on. Well, except for one thing that had always bugged me. Had to keep paying half mortgage on house. Sure, that ended when Tyler graduated from high school, but my name was still on deed. Think Rachel was under mistaken impression house was hers free and clear. Divorce only said she got to live there until children graduated from high school. Now all bets were off. Had right to half of assets, and that was pretty big asset. Contacted my lawyer to start off with. When we divorced, house was appraised around $200,000, with about $130,000 in equity. That was 5 years ago. Since then, we had been faithfully paying on mortgage. Property values had gone up significantly in our area. By doing a bit of research online, estimated appraised value now around $320,000. Equity more along line of $280,000. Yes, we only had $40,000 left on note. Why was I doing this? Well, obviously for money, of course. Who couldn't use extra $140,000? Besides that fact, it would totally piss Rachel off. She loved that house. Having to give me penny for anything would cause her to go through roof. Was looking for whatever payback could get for what she did. This would also reimburse me for all maintenance and mortgage payments had to make for her. Call came about a week later. Jack, what hell is going on? Well, Rachel, there isn't much going on here. Just working and fixing up house I bought. What's going on with you? I do have to admit my surprise at you calling to see how I'm doing. After all this first time you have talked to me since divorce? You a-hole. I'm not calling to see how you are doing. I'm calling to see why a realtor just came to my house. To get my signature on listing contract. Oh, that... Well, it should be pretty self-explanatory. Since both our names are on title, she would obviously need your signature for sale. What sale? I love this house and I'm not about to sell it. Then when can I expect you to get me check for my half of equity? Nice try. I got house and divorce. No, you only got use of house until Tyler graduated from high school. That happened last month. Now we can either sell it and split proceeds, or you buy out my half. If you think I'm going to give you $100,000 for house that rightfully mine, you're crazy. Well, that proves I'm not crazy. I'm not asking for $100,000. You could have done that 5 years ago. Now, since equity in house more like $280,000, My half comes to 140,000. Factoring in all expensive furniture you just had to have, let's just round that to even 150,000. You're insane. I'm not giving you dime. She screamed as hung up phone. Yes, I was laughing after she hung up. Yes, my lawyer did take his cut, but it was worth it couple months later to see her face. As judge ruled in my favor, even managed to convince judge to make her pay court fees, as well as my lawyer for having me take her to court, over something that should have been handled out of court. House appraised for more than I estimated. With value of furniture, I ended up with 175,000. They ended up buying me out instead of selling. Was to find out later mostly Mark's money used to buy me out, which leads me to believe he had good bit of money set aside. Before they got married, kind of surprised me because thought he was just another office worker. Guess he had some investments or something. About a year later, finished restoring my 1972 Chevy truck. Made it bit more radical than originally intended, but it was beast. Big block 454 with bored out carburetor, new forged crankshaft, 101 pistons, nice heavy cam, had heads ported and polished, then had valves done with double springs, then blower to top it all off. Yeah, would probably be passing more gas stations than tire shops, and would pass very few gas stations. Chromed valve covers, polished aluminum on blower, used all steel braided hoses, popping hood almost required sunglasses. First time took it out on road almost wrecked it. Was on freeway and decided to punch it. Big mistake, back tires broke loose instantly. Barely managed to hold it straight before able to let up off gas. Note to self, press down slowly on accelerator pedal. Drove bit more carefully after that. Few weeks later saw advertisement for car show open to public, thinking would be fun. Filled out form and paid entry fee. When day came, loaded up 72 Chevy and drove over to park. Checked in and was assigned spot. As setting up, noticed really nice 1968 GTO parked beside me. Set up shade structure in my area behind truck. Couple chairs and cooler. Finished my setup. That's when noticed attractive redhead setting up chairs behind GTO. Yes, said redhead, as in singular. Looked about my age. One very significant thing did not see. Did not see guy with her. Did not see any ring on third finger of left hand. Good morning, I like your car, said cheerfully. She looked up from what was doing. Thanks, I like your truck too, she said. Thanks, have you been to many of these? This my first one. Mean I've been to car shows before, but only as spectator? This first one ever entered anything in? My name's Nicole, by way. Well, this third time I've been in one. My ex took it to few before, though. I'm Amy, she said. In that case, when you done, why don't you come join me in shade? Have cooler full of drinks. Could use any information on these shows I can get. We ended up hanging out most of day. Would occasionally get up and talk to someone about our vehicles. But it was a very pleasant day. No, I didn't win any awards, but still had fun. Learned she had divorced her husband 3 years ago because caught him cheating. He was cheating with his boss's wife. She made deal with him. Would give him all videos as long as signed GTO over to her. Told me would really hurt him and she wanted him keep his job. So he could keep paying child support and maintenance to her. It was double win for her. Besides, his boss was a-hole and she didn't really care if his wife was hanging horns on him. We were having such nice time, didn't want it to end. When show wrapping up, offered to take her to Red Lobster couple blocks away. She accepted and we drove over. Didn't really want to be downer, but she asked and she had told me her story. Hit highlights. Did tell her my kids took wife's side and had nothing to do with me anymore? You mean she cheated and your kids blame you for divorcing her? Amy was astonished. Yeah, tried to explain things to them. But she had already poisoned them against me by that point. Amy put her hand on my arm. I'm so sorry for you, Jack. You seem such a nice guy and didn't deserve any of that, she said sincerely. Decided to change subject to something more pleasant. We ended up talking and laughing for another hour. Seemed to have real connection. We exchanged numbers. Amy seemed agreeable to meet up with me again. So Amy and I did get together again next weekend. Had called and she enthusiastically agreed. Dinner and dancing. Got kiss on cheek when walked her to door. After 2 more dates, invited her over to my house. Cooked her dinner. Had learned to cook pretty well after divorce. Food Network, few YouTube videos, and lot of trial and error. Do make really good lasagna, so went with that. She seemed to like it. Really liked my house, but did overhear her telling her friend that it definitely needed woman's touch. Wouldn't have argued if had been asked. Next weekend invited to her place. Amy's cooking put my feeble efforts to shame. Even Rachel wasn't as good as Amy. Couldn't help it. Know it's rude as hell, but just couldn't stop eating. Finally had to apologize to her for making pig of myself. She just laughed and said that was biggest compliment you could give to woman who loves to cook. 2 weekends later it happened. Had taken Amy to dinner then to dance club. Been dancing for a while when slow song came up. We were pressed together as swayed to music. Had graduated to some pretty hot makeout sessions few weeks ago. She leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Take me home." Frankly, was surprised. Thought we were having great time, but now she wanted to go home. Pulled back to look at her. She must have seen look on my face and began giggling. "Oh, you silly man. I meant take me to your home." Oh, well then. Thankfully, had regular truck and not 72. Not sure would have been able to keep tires on road if driving 72 back home. We ended up doing it 3 times before fell asleep. Cooked her breakfast before driving her back home. Few months later asked and she answered, was simple ceremony in front of judge. She moved into my house right after we got married. Life was great. Yes, there were disagreements. Yes, we had our differences as well. She was still woman and I was still man. We had to say no on occasion. Still, she respected me and I loved her just as much as she loved me. Surprise phone call came about year later. Number didn't recognize. "Hello," I said as answered phone. Excited woman's voice said on other end. "Jack, it's Anna. I have great news." "Really? It's really good to hear from you." It really was good to hear from her. Maybe she was reaching out to reconnect. "I'm getting married." "That's great, sweetie. I'm so happy for you. Anyway, I want you at my wedding." "Oh, sweetie, of course. It's one of greatest honors for father to walk his daughter down aisle. And I also set up wedding fund for you." "Oh no, Mark is paying for wedding. And he will be walking me down aisle. Also, since it would be really awkward for you and mom to be sitting together, you wouldn't be in front pew, but I really want you to be there." "Mark? As in scumbag, that whore you call mother cheated on me with?" "She actually married that piece of..." "Look, Anna, I'm trying to reconnect here. And I wanted to reach out and have you at my wedding. Besides, after you left, she and Mark started seeing each other more. Fell in love and got married. It's actually your fault. If you hadn't abandoned us, she and Mark would never have continued seeing each other. Okay, I can see you still under impression your mother didn't do anything wrong. So I will be unable to attend for 2 reasons. First and foremost, I simply cannot support marriage where I'm sure it will fail. You more likely to cheat on your husband just like your mom cheated on me. If he is in any way someone I would approve of, he would kick your butt to curb as soon as he found out. Second, you have just stolen last great honor father has from me, and given it to dirtbag that knowingly seduced married woman. Just goes to show me what shallow, self-centered bitch you have grown into. Fine if that's where you're going to be. Don't expect to ever see your grandchildren. If you raise them anything like you are, I want nothing to do with them anyway. Really, Dad? Mom is right. You really are an a-hole. And that's last I heard of my daughter when hung up phone on her. Oh, she tried sending text messages over next couple days, but just deleted them. There were even couple of voicemails, but just deleted them after hearing first couple words. It was all same. It was just my ex-wife's words in my daughter's voice. She made her choice 10 years ago. She could live with decision. This so-called olive branch was nothing but insult. She could take entire olive tree and shove it up her butt. Well, so much for any chance of relationship with former daughter. Pretty sure there will never be relationship with Tyler either. Yeah, it hurt. They still blamed me for what their mother did. Just set phone down and moped out to shop. Instead of wallowing in sorrow, would lose myself in working. On 1963 Chevy pickup pulled out of field couple months ago. This one wouldn't be as radical as my 72. Wanted to be able to drive this one bit more. Was rebuilding 350 that was just slightly beefier than stock. Never even saw Amy sneak around corner and pick up my phone. Didn't even realize she was home. Let's see story from Anna's side. Was so pissed off at my dad. Here I was trying to reach out to him. And he has gall to talk to me like that. It was his fault our family was torn apart. I tried to be nice and invite him to my wedding. And he just throws everything back in my face. Was hoping he would finally take responsibility for what he did to our family. Looked down and saw phone ringing. Didn't recognize number, but lots of calls like that when planning wedding. Hello, is this Anna Johnson? Yes, can I help you? Yes, you can. You can stop calling my daddy and being cast iron witch to him. He is best man I have ever known. And he doesn't deserve stupid spoiled brat like you calling him. And reminding him of pathetic excuses of humanity that you are. I swear you and your family are waste of breathable air. Who the hell are you? My name is Katie Williams. I'm your sister. My mom married your former dad and he adopted me. I love him with all my heart. Would never even think of disrespecting or dishonoring him in slightest. You are insult to daughters all over world. I know all about what happened. Your whore of mother went out on date completely disrespecting her husband. And screwed another guy. Really sad part about all that is you seem to be okay with that. Let me tell you my biological dad cheated on my mom. She didn't even hesitate to kick him to curb. You can also bet your skanky butt that if my mom ever cheated on my daddy, I would be right there helping my daddy carry her bum out with rest of trash. Yes, even though he isn't my biological father, he is most decent, caring, compassionate person I've ever met. I'm thinking of sending your whore of mother thank you card for being such big a hole to let him go. If it weren't for her abject stupidity, I wouldn't have him for father now. Oh, and you can also tell your grandparents that they have another granddaughter, but I have absolutely no desire to have any sort of relationship with anyone so despicable as to reject their own son for cheating whore and her backstabbing offspring. There's one more thing you can do for me. As you sang your joke vows, look in your husband's eyes and think about when he decides to cheat on you. When he actually does cheat on you, call me and tell me about it so I can laugh my butt off at you. Have crappy life, sis. She hung up, just stared at phone in shock. First off, surprised to hear Dad got married. Would think he would at least send his children invitation. Then hearing now had younger sister as well. Strange thought flew into mind. Couldn't help thinking she sounded a lot like me. Before Mom talked to Tyler and me about how Daddy was leaving, going to break up family over one minor thing. Had thought at first Daddy must have had really good reason for that. Was thinking maybe could live with him instead of Mom. Then Mom explained how she was feeling. Just needed this one little thing to rejuvenate herself. After all, it was only just one brief period of time. Compared to how long they had been together, besides, Mom was willing to stay together and work things out. It was Dad who was being pig-headed and refused to even try. It was Dad that was leaving. He was one breaking them up. Couldn't believe how rude she was to me either. Never even gave me a chance to tell her it was Dad who left us. That Mom was trying to move forward. It was like she didn't even care that it was just one-time thing. That shouldn't have even been blip on radar, considering how long they had been together. Then she has nerve to call me all those nasty names. She doesn't even know me. And what was Dad getting so upset about? Of course Mark was going to walk me down aisle. After all, he has been there for me for last several years. Haven't even talked to Dad since Tyler and I told him how mad we were about him leaving. Besides, Mark was paying almost $20,000 for my wedding. Couldn't even imagine how far pittance Dad could put aside for my wedding would go. Still upset about those phone calls half-hour later, when Mom and both grandmas came in. They had been out shopping. Mom immediately noticed my mood. Honey, what's wrong? I told Dad about wedding and asked him to come. After all, I am his only daughter. Thought he would want to be at my wedding. Kind of hoped maybe this would be something we could build on. Maybe start relationship again. Oh, that's wonderful, Grandma Johnson exclaimed. Will he be there? We haven't heard from him since he called about Thanksgiving a few years ago. I sighed. No, he got pissed off when I told him Mark would be walking me down aisle, and that I thought it would be too awkward for him to be sitting in front pew with Mom and Mark. Oh, that's too bad. I thought he would have gotten over his pig-headedness by now. Well, if that's not bad enough, I found out I have stepsister about 5 minutes later. What sounded like in 3-part harmony. Yeah. Girl who said her name is Katie Williams called me few minutes after Dad hung up on me. Apparently Dad married her mom and adopted her. She was not very nice on phone. In fact, nicest thing she said was that she wanted to thank my mom. For being stupid otherwise, she wouldn't have such fantastic daddy. Recounted both phone calls to them. They were shocked at vehemence that came from Dad and Katie. Jack got married and we weren't invited to wedding. He never even told us about it. I have another granddaughter, Grandma Johnson whispered to herself. Day of my wedding finally arrived. Briefly thought about what Dad had said. Had moment of sadness that he wouldn't be here on my special day. Oh well, I had reached out to him and he had rejected me. I shrugged it off. After all, this was happy day. Was going to marry man I truly loved. Man I was going to be spending rest of my life with. Mark was beaming in happiness as he took my arm and we began walking up aisle to music of wedding march. Was overjoyed as took in all my friends and family. Both sets of my grandparents were there. Tyler was one of Bobby's groomsmen. Everyone was here to celebrate my special day. Tears of joy began to form in my eyes. Looked ahead and saw my Bobby smiling at me as he stood before Minister. As we passed my mother, I could see her beaming at me with pride. She too had tears of joy beginning to slide down her cheeks. Mark lifted my veil, kissed me on cheek and said, "Congratulations, baby," then handed me off to my soon-to-be husband. Had strange niggling in head when Minister asked, "Who gives this bride away?" And Mark said, "Her mother and I do." Something didn't sound right but couldn't understand why. That soon passed as Minister began ceremony. Was gazing into eyes of love of my life. Was repeating my vows. To have and to hold, in sickness and in health. Through good times and bad. For, I couldn't say it. Was staring straight into Bobby's eyes. Simply couldn't say it. Suddenly thought about what that witch had said over phone. was staring into eyes of my soulmate. Suddenly saw him with another woman. Picture suddenly changed. Now was looking into dull eyes of broken man. As I told him I had sex with another man, these pictures were flashing through my mind. Words came out without thought. I understand now. If had thought we had rapt attention of audience before, that was nothing compared to what it was now. Bobby was looking at me with concern. Suddenly it felt as if weight had lifted. Got biggest smile on face ever had. I finally understand, I said to Bobby. That's really great, Anna. But what do you suddenly understand? Absolutely everything, I answered. Then got serious. Bobby, do you really love me? Of course I love you. How can you even ask that? I have to ask that because I can't marry you today. Swear I could feel rush of air blow past me as entire audience gasped in shock. We will still get married, but not today. This isn't right and I have to make it right. I'm only getting married once and it will be for life. So I need to do it right. Baby, what's wrong? Bobby, I love you with everything I have. I'm going to marry you. I will explain everything to you and you will understand completely. But we need to go and begin fixing things. We will reschedule and have our wedding. You're not leaving me at altar, are you? Not chance in hell. In fact, you need to come with me. With that, turn to guests. I'm truly sorry about this, but I just can't go through with this today. We are not canceling our wedding. We are simply postponing it. We will let you all know when we schedule new date. We will understand if you decide not to attend. But just think about what story you will have about today for years to come. Wouldn't you want to show up next time to see what happens then? Anyway, to try and make up for some of your disappointment, reception hall should be ready. Everything already paid for with non-refundable deposits. So why not go ahead and take advantage of that? It's open bar, so eat, drink, dance, and party. Don't worry, Mark is footing Bill. With that, grabbed Bobby's hand, began to head back down aisle. Suddenly, Mother was blocking my exit. Mark standing there beside her. He didn't exactly look pleased that I just flushed over 20,000 down toilet. Also noticed all guests now focused on this new confrontation. Those that had stood up to begin making way to reception had stopped in tracks to witness next show. Mark began shouting bunch of crap about money he spent. Then I was going to pay him back every cent for this stunt I just pulled. Then it was Mom's turn. Anna, what are you doing? Where are you going? She asked. What I'm doing is fixing a mistake I made several years ago. What mistake? The biggest mistake of my life. The mistake I made when I listened to all that you spouted off. Instead of helping my daddy throw your butt out to curb, mistake I made when I blamed my daddy for breaking up family. When it was all your fault for cheating on him. Anna, I am your mother. I'm not a whore and you will speak to me with respect. Really, Mother, you're not a whore? Once cheater, always cheater. As I looked into Bobby's eyes, I suddenly realized how horrible it would be if he ever cheated on me. I realized how badly I would hurt man I love if I ever cheated on him. I guess Dad was pretty good role model for me after all. You sure as hell weren't. What do you mean by that? Mom asked. Could see a bit of fear in her eyes. Seriously, Mom, you think I don't know about your Wednesday afternoon workouts? With Jim Davis, your personal trainer? How they always happen at his apartment instead of at gym. Funny how you only go to gym to see Jim. How about how it takes Carlos, your pool boy, extra hour every 2 weeks? Because he is screwing your brains out on lounge chair after he cleans pool. What about your gang-banging landscape crew every time after they finished yard work? I have some nice videos of that from when I came home early couple times, in case you try to deny it. And let's not forget how you always tip Mario, your hairstylist, with blowjob after every hair appointment. At least Mark is your boss at work, and he doesn't have to worry about you cheating on him with your boss. Am I leaving anyone out? Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Alan Morris, your neighbor. He's been coming over whenever his wife has her girls' night out for last 3 years. Her eyes darted over to Mark after I finished airing her dirty laundry. Maybe she hoped he miraculously hadn't heard any of that, even though I said it loud enough to carry through entire church, and he was standing less than 2 feet away. Mark had look of utter shock on his face. Had evil thought just then as looked at Mark. Oh, and Mark, in front of God and all these witnesses, I vow with same commitment that my mom had when she made her wedding vows, that I will pay you back for money you spent for this wedding. We all know how she keeps her vows, so you can fully expect me to honor that vow as much as she honors hers. Yeah, he shouldn't hold his breath waiting for so much as dime. Seeing that Mom was distracted, pulled Bobby down aisle, made quick stop to talk to videographer. Yes, he caught entire thing on camera. He had big smile on face as handed me copy of video. He was set up to make duplicate copy, just in case something happened to original. Quickly scribbled my signature on release form. To allow him to post it on YouTube, was hoping it would go viral and increase my mom's shame. Bobby and I dashed out to parking lot. He had driven his car here. Our bags were in trunk. We were planning on switching them to limo before leaving reception. His brother was going to drive it back to his apartment after reception. Smiled knowing that Daddy was really going to like Bobby. As slid into passenger seat, got instantly aroused as he turned ignition, and that huge 440 tri-power engine rumbled to life. Sure, it wasn't GM, but 1969. Challenger was still beast. "Where are we going?" he asked as we roared out of parking lot. "Go west on 156. I'll find address and put it in Waze," I answered. As began working my phone. It wasn't difficult. He wasn't really trying to hide after all. New town he lived in. And search of property records gave me answers I needed. It was about 2 hours away. Now just hoped he was home when we got there. We didn't stop to change. Was on mission and didn't want to waste time. Now back with Jack's story. Not very normal occurrence when open your front door and see woman in wedding dress and man in tuxedo standing on your porch. I mean, if happened to be minister and actually lived at church, suppose it would happen occasionally. Problem here was that I was not minister, and sure as hell didn't live at church. Even more surprising was that actually knew who one of them was. Had no clue who man was. But that was sure as hell my oldest daughter standing there. My oldest daughter who made it abundantly clear never wanted to see me again. Did seem to recall today was her wedding day, but couldn't figure out why she would be here. She should either be at church reception or on way to honeymoon. Standing on my doorstep was last place she should have been. "Daddy, can I talk to you for a minute, please?" she asked in very small voice. Still being stunned, moved back and allowed them to enter. Gestured to living room where Amy and Katie were sitting. Noticed shocked looks on their faces as well. "Anna, this is my wife, Amy, and our daughter, Katie." "Katie, Amy, this is Anna." "I'm sorry, but do not know who guy with her is, though." "Oh, yes, Daddy, this is my fiance, Bobby Jensen." "Bobby, this is my daddy, Jack Williams." "His wife, Amy, and my sister, Katie." "Fiance? I thought he would be your husband by now." "Didn't you get married a couple hours ago?" "That's what need to talk to you about. I couldn't go through with it today. Can't get married unless my daddy walks me down aisle." "Daddy, I finally understand. You were right. You were always right. I'm sorry for being caught up in Mom's lies. And blaming you. It was Mom that threw everything away, not you abandoning us. I'm sorry for everything I said and did. You didn't deserve any of that. Won't make any excuses for my behavior, because there really is an excuse, except being young, foolish, and listening to wrong people. I just hope you can somehow find it in your heart to forgive me and let me back into your life. I really, really want to marry Bobby. He is a really great guy, and I know you are going to like him. I just can't marry him unless you agree to walk me down aisle and give me away." Well, this was completely unexpected. Should have focused on other things, but seemed to be elephant or two in room. Even though really happy daughter decided I was not a whole who abandoned them and wanted me back into her life. My overriding curiosity at scene before me demanded some attention. "So Anna, did something happen at wedding? I mean, you wearing your wedding dress? And Bobby in his tux? So assuming you were actually at wedding?" She looked down at herself, then over to her fiancé. "Oh yes, we were actually about halfway through ceremony. When I had epiphany, here she said as handed me CD, maybe you should watch this." As Bobby and her change into regular clothes, Bobby ran out to car and grabbed his suitcase, while Amy showed Anna to bedroom for them to change. As that was happening, I set up video player, hooked up to big screen in living room. As soon as Anna and Bobby were set, Amy came back and sat beside me, while I pushed play on remote. Started off as typical wedding ceremony. Groomsmen escorted bridesmaids down aisle. Then split at altar. Bobby came in with minister, ring bearer, then flower girl. Finally, Mark was escorting Anna to altar. All pretty typical until Anna began reciting her vows. Even that was normal to point. Suddenly, she seemed to have some trouble talking. Seemed she was stuck on one word. She did it. I can't believe she actually did it. And that it actually hit her like that. Katie whispered to herself. Was about to ask her what she was talking about, when Anna stopped trying to say her vows and changed everything. We watched video as she stopped wedding, then confronted her mom, was shocked at her revelations. Apparently Rachel's cheating had escalated after she married Mark. Anna and Bobby had changed and returned to living room. By time video ended, I just couldn't go through with it. I was looking into Bobby's eyes and realized how hurt he would be. If I did to him what Mom had done to you, I finally understood what forsaking all others really meant. And that Mom broke that vow. That's when I realized how badly she had dishonored you. And that I was dishonoring you by getting married without you being in place of honor you deserve. I mean, how can I make those solemn vows in ceremony where two most dishonorable people I know are in place of honor? How can those vows have any real meaning when most honorable person I know is not involved? I realize that if I was to really mean those vows that I am taking, it needs to be my daddy, person who actually taught me values and integrity, that walks me down aisle and gives me away. I decided that when I marry Bobby, it needs to be you there, not Mom and Mark. Anna paused for a minute, then smiled, looked over at Katie. Besides, I need my little sister to be one of my bridesmaids. It was your kick on my butt that woke me up. I remembered what you said to me. When I looked into Bobby's eyes as trying to recite my vows, how can I possibly get married if you are not standing up there for me? This was a lot to take in. We talked for several more hours. Hadn't known Katie had gotten Anna's phone number from my phone just after I went out to workshop. After Anna had called me that day, she went into her room and called Anna on her own phone a few minutes later. Got late, so had them stay in guest bedroom for night. Anna had couple phone calls throughout evening. She ignored calls from Mark and Rachel, but couple of her friends called also. Seemed several guests took her up on offer to party away on Mark's dime. He tried to cancel it, but was too late for him to get his money back. By time he got to reception venue, there were already few dozen people taking advantage of open bar. Food was already being prepared. All servers, bartenders, and DJ were already there and working. Mark finally gave up, got drink, and moved to table and corner. To drown his sorrows, Tyler sent her video he had taken on his phone. When his mom went over to try and talk to Mark, didn't look like it went very well. There was a lot of yelling from Mark. Words cheating whore took big part of conversation. Looked like that relationship was about to end as well. Tyler said Mark did manage to cancel flight and resort reservations, but was stuck with 20% cancellation fee. Since Anna and Bobby had already taken time off work for their honeymoon, they stayed with us for an entire week. Got to reconnect with daughter thought I lost. Also got to know Bobby. He's great guy with strong moral values. Was a bit strained at first, since only things he had heard about me were lies told to him by my ex-wife, son, and daughter. Well, not entirely lies, but more embellishments of truth. That painted me as bad guy for abandoning my family. There were also few relevant facts that were left out of those conversations. After truth began to come out, he warmed up to me more. It helped when showed him my shop and latest projects. Even though he was more into classic Dodges, we both appreciated each other's vehicles. Hey, we are both gearheads. At least he wasn't one of those wimpy guys that drove automatic. His Challenger had manual transmission. About halfway through week new wedding date was made, going to be at same venue on same weekend year later. This time I would be paying for it and walking her down aisle. Also, Amy was drafted to help with wedding. Yes, Katie was going to be bridesmaid as well. Anna and Bobby called everyone in wedding party, gave them updates. Well, everyone except Rachel and Mark. Over next several months, Anna and I worked hard on rebuilding our relationship. Bobby and I also got to know each other better. Went to several car shows, entering Amy's GTO, my 72 truck, Bobby's Challenger. Even had Katie enter 1974 Firebird that I got for her. Anna and Bobby came over, spent couple days with us couple times month. Tyler even showed up few times. It was harder with him, because he was always closer to his mother than me, but we rebuilt some of our relationship. Think he did it more for Anna than me, but I'll take it. Besides, he always had bit of news from home. Speaking of which, it was not going well for Rachel and Mark. Mark had moved out and filed for divorce. Good news for Rachel was Mark filed under irreconcilable differences. Instead of adultery, that meant harsh penalties of prenup wouldn't be enforced. He filed that way to get it over with faster and without fight. Good news for Mark was that he had prenup. Prenup specified all assets he had before getting married were off table. Rachel would get half of assets built during wedding, but wasn't much of that. Once assets from before marriage were factored out, she would basically just get to keep house and get about $50,000. As far as house went, Mark did try to get piece of it, but didn't have any proof he had claimed. Sure, it was his money used to buy my share out after my divorce, but there was no real proof of that. Apparently took out business loan for his company to come up with money, but never documented what exactly used money for. Also, they never added his name to title of house. Since it was Rachel's house before they got married, she refused to even discuss it. Mark ended up paying off loan with nothing to show for it. By time he realized wouldn't be getting his money from house back, was too late to refile under adultery. Word about Rachel's affairs spread. Her standing in community suffered big hit. Her friends began avoiding her. Invitations to parties, charity events, and other events dried up. Even worse for her since she didn't work and relied on Mark's money. Her financial situation suffered enormously. Mark learned expensive lesson. Was out couple $100,000 from buying out my half of house. Was out another $20,000 for wedding that fell apart. Also had to pay Rachel $50,000 in divorce. Then there was humiliation. Rachel was angry that her affairs were publicly revealed, and that Mark was divorcing her way he did. She began telling her remaining friends that she cheated on him because he had such little dick and didn't even know how to use it properly. That kind of gossip spreads like wildfire. Didn't take long before every woman he tried to pick up in bar would simply laugh at him. He became something of recluse, only going to work and straight home. His social life evaporated. "Ready, Daddy?" my oldest daughter asked. "No father ever really ready to let go of their daughters, but I am honored to do this for you," I replied. Doors opened. Music began and filled church. Stepped beginning with my left foot. Proudly began walking my daughter down aisle. Did quick glance and my smile got bigger. My ex-wife was sitting in 4th row. My wife Amy was at her place of honor in 1st row. Would be joining her after took care of my last important honor for my daughter. Who gives this woman to be wed? As her father, I give her to be wed, I spoke loudly. "Love you, Munchkin," I whispered. Gave her kiss on cheek before handing her off to Bobby. Yes, I neglected to mention my ex-wife. No, it was not all my idea. Anna asked me to do it that way. Then turned, walked over and sat next to my wife. To have and to hold. In sickness and in health. Through good times and bad. Forsaking all others. Anna practically screamed last part out. Then with brilliant smile, she finished her vows. It was beautiful ceremony. Cheers went up as they kissed at end. Looked down from head table. Amy was right beside me. Saw Rachel sitting at table off to side. She didn't really look happy. Every time she looked up and saw Amy sitting in her spot, she scowled. Did notice she was taking advantage of open bar. Mark had not been invited. Really don't know if he would have come even if he had been. My last great accomplishment for my daughter was complete. Had walked her down aisle, given her away to be married, gave beautiful toast to newly married couple, danced with my daughter to father-daughter dance, then danced with my wife. While my daughter and her husband and his parents danced to second song, my obligations were complete, was sitting at table beside my wife. My younger daughter was out dancing with one of posse of boys that were vying for her attention. "Pardon me, Amy, is it? May I borrow your husband for this dance?" Heard familiar voice behind me request. My wife and I turned around to face my ex-wife. Amy eyed her for a moment before responding. "Just make sure you return him to where you found him." She looked at me. "I trust you. It's her I don't trust to not try anything stupid." Led Rachel out onto floor. They started up slow song. Wouldn't have surprised me if she had requested it just for this purpose. Was careful to keep bit of distance, not pull her in tight. We danced for bit before she started talking. "You were supposed to give me that one night? We should have moved past that and gone on like normal. This was supposed to be 2 of us together today. And you were not supposed to have gone out that night. You should have known me better than to think. I would have been okay with you cheating on me, no matter how many times you did it. I didn't cheat. I told you about it before I did it. I didn't sneak around behind your back. Whether you told me or not is immaterial. Fact that you had sex with someone else is cheating. Besides, I never gave you permission. I told you not to do it, but you did it anyway. I never wanted this. I just wanted that one night. Then we could have been together forever. You know that you are only man I have ever loved. There was never even slightest amount of love for him. Besides, that sex wasn't even that good. He was selfish and wasn't even as big as you are. Then why did you marry him? Because you divorced me. Sure, I didn't love him, but I liked him. Okay, after you left, I didn't want to be alone. I thought I might grow to love him. But I could never get over you. I did all that to you because I was pissed that you left me. I still loved you, but you wouldn't even talk to me. After that one night, I realized that you were everything I would ever need. And I would never go out with another man again. So why did you cheat on him then? Because he was dud in sack. I thought I could train him. But he refused to take any advice. He would just stick it in, pump for a few minutes, spurt, then roll over and fall asleep. When I couldn't take that anymore, I found a couple other guys that could actually give me what I wanted. I had no idea that Anna knew anything about it. Even if I knew she knew about any of it, would never have figured she would throw me under bus like that. I'm sorry for you. We had really great marriage, but you threw it away for one night of mediocre sex. I don't suppose there's any chance. Couldn't help laughing. Not just no, but hell no. First off, even if I wasn't married now, what you did in poisoning my kids against me killed any possibility of us ever getting back together. Now I am married again to a woman I love, and I have another daughter that I love as well. Best I can offer is civility when we are at same place, and at any events with our children and grandchildren. Thankfully, song ended shortly thereafter. Didn't talk to her again that night. She couldn't afford mortgage payments on house, so ended up selling it and moving into small apartment. Got enough money out of house to be able to live on if careful. She did go out with her friends occasionally, but as far as I know, never had another relationship. Mark ended up living alone as well. Anna and Bobby had long, loving marriage. They had 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. Tyler eventually got married to Sweet Girl as well. They had 2 daughters. As far as I know, neither one cheated on other. There are those who believe should have sought revenge on Rachel and Mark. Reality is there was really nothing could do to hurt them, without either going to jail or having it blow back on me. Decided to just move ahead and live my life as best I could. There is saying, best revenge is life well lived. I did that and let karma handle rest. Karma is bitch, and her stripper name is Vengeance. Mark and Rachel were not burned, but they did not escape unscathed. No, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I still feel good about myself. I have my wife, my daughter, and my 2 other children back in my life. I am surrounded by people who love me. I have good life. Ready, Daddy? My daughter asked. No father ever really ready to let go of their daughters. But I am honored to do this for you, I replied. Doors opened. Music began and filled church. Stepped beginning with my left foot. Proudly began walking my daughter down aisle. My wife was at her place of honor in first row, smiling broadly. Would be joining her after took care of my last important honor for my daughter. Don't worry, Daddy. I'm going through with this today. I talked to Anna and I'm doing it right first time. Katie assured me. Buddies, let me know what you think about this whole situation that happened. It was hard for me to share it, but now it's much easier.